Hey guys, this is Sam from Deep South Overlander. Today we're installing the base bumper on my Lexus LX470 by Dissent Off-Road. As you know, I have started a playlist on how to assemble the entire bumper, and this is now the third video in the series. And again, this is the base bumper. I already made a video on the tire carrier, the jerry can holder. The next video after the base bumper will be the swing out and how we build those and assemble those. Here we go. Hey guys, so before we get started, I thought that I would explain to you what I've done to the back of the car. As you can see, I've already removed the bumper fascia as well as prepped the cross member with I've done a little bit of rust remediation and painted the cross member. You'll have to cut a little bit of this piece right here, which is the back of the pinch weld. You will have to cut a 45-degree angle, so a little chunk. And once you do that, always put some paint on it so it does not rust. All right, guys. So before we start, I want to show you the cross member of my truck, the back of the chassis. Okay, so there are two plates that you will have to install in before you start the base bumper, and this will require you to do two things. You will have to drill a half-inch hole right here at the back. And that half-inch hole, I don't know if you can see, but it corresponds with another hole that already exists on the other side where the resonator is. And so I had to drop the resonator bracket in order to access that hole. And I drilled half-inch coming from the inside out of the truck to make sure that I was level and at the correct space. So that bolt will receive a 19 millimeter like this, a long bolt through the actual chassis, and then the other part of the bracket will be installed in this nut right here, which is a captured nut. So don't forget to put anti-seize on this particular nut. And this is the bracket. So the bracket looks like this. And so the back hole right here will receive this large 22 millimeter nut bolt, and the front of the bracket, or closer to the front of the car, will receive this long 19 millimeter lag bolt that goes, again, it goes through the chassis. So you'll have to enlarge the back hole and drill a new hole on this side of the chassis, and this is a half-inch. I highly recommend you use a very good drill bit because obviously it's a little tough. Also, when you're done drilling, it's a good idea to put some spray paint, since you've just exposed bare metal and you will be introducing some rust if you don't cover that. So here you go. We're going to put this bracket together. Now, I had already put it together previously, so I removed it so I could show you guys how it goes. But it goes basically like this. I hope you can see that on the video. You should. The big 22 millimeter bolt goes right here. I've put some anti-seize on it already. Obviously, make sure you don't cross thread it. If it has any dirt or anything, you may want to consider running the bolt through it to clean up the thread, or if you have a tap, you can also do that. I didn't have to. It wasn't that much dirt in there. I just chased the dirt with some liquid wrench and then put the bolt in there. Now, through the other side, in the front of it, you put that big 19-inch millimeter across the entire chassis. Then you have a washer and then a 19 millimeter bolt on, a nut on the other side. I am sorry, I keep mixing bolt and nut. I will try to be more careful. So you reach on the other side. It's not easy because you have the resonator, but you do have enough space to go do that. Torque specs on this is 95 foot-pound. However, you do not, I repeat, you do not want to torque anything until you have the base bumper onto this plate and make sure that all the holes are lined up. So what I'm doing right now is I'm bringing everything finger tight so there is as little play as possible, but I am not torquing anything. So I'm just gonna bring these together. I'm gonna grab my impact. All right, well, it's a little too much actually. There you go, just finger tight like this, and I'm gonna go and do the same thing on the other side. Repeat the exact same procedure. Enlarge the hole on one side, drill through the chassis on the other side with a 1/2 inch. Make sure you coat everything with black spray paint so you don't introduce rust. And then go ahead and put that bracket on the other side, and we'll move on to the next step. All right, I'm gonna show you guys the 3 pieces to this bumper that you're gonna need to install on your chassis. So here's the right wing, here's the left wing, and in the middle, you have the actual trailer hitch. Now, you can see that I have 2 pieces, and that is because I have asked Ben to produce for me a trailer hitch delete plate. I don't intend to tow anything with my truck, and so for now, I'm going to install it with the no trailer hitch plate. But if I change my mind because it's all bolted together, I don't have to disassemble the whole entire bumper to switch it. I can just change this piece, slap the back with the trailer hitch, and I'm good to go. Again, this is special. I've custom ordered that, but I thought that since I wasn't going to trailer anything with the truck, it would be nice and to not have the trailer hitch. Plus, as you know, the tire carrier as a secondary hitch. If I want to use that for my bike rack, I will put it there, which will give me extra clearance and a great departure angle. So again, I'm not going to install this right trailer hitch plate. I'm going to go with the trailer hitch delete plate to assemble this bumper. So for this next phase of the installation, we're going to grab one of these 1/4 inch spacers that come with the kit, some masking tape, and we're going to position these spacers right here in front of the factory tow hitch holes that are right here. Now, it's my understanding that on some later models, these spacers are not required. My truck is a 2000 LX470, so I need those spacers. There will be one in the front, one in the back. But for now, we are going to put this one. So grab some masking tape, and then align it just so. Tape it to the cross member. Whoops, of course, what do you know, I cut it the wrong way. Right there, it's just bring it up a little bit. I want to make sure that it's about as right as possible. Okay, so that's it for now. We're gonna grab one of the wings. I'm gonna have to find a solution. I'm by myself, and these wings are quite heavy. So I'm going to probably try to use some sort of car jack or something to lift it up as I position it on the back of the truck. And then again, don't forget one thing, every time you have to put a bolt through a captured nut in the chassis, don't forget to put some anti-seize. And don't tighten everything, don't torque anything until the whole bumper base, the 3 pieces are together, and then you can time things, and I will tell you the torque specs when we get to that. All right, guys, so I fabricated this sort of stand to put the bumper onto the lift. So it definitely helps me raising the bumper by myself. And I think I'm going to go ahead and position it. Okay, so for this, you will use 3 bolts. There are M14 10.9 big bolts. You will use a 22 millimeter socket to tighten them. And you want to be careful when you put these bolts on. They correspond to captured nuts under your subframe. And these threads can be dirty or even rusty, so you may need to chase them before you insert those bolts. You definitely do not want to cross thread them, as you may bust the captured nuts loose in the frame, and that would be a complete disaster. So take your time to do this step. Well, as it turned out, you can pretty much do that by yourself. So because that part of the bumper actually is going to sit on top of the cross member, all you have to do is slide that in. I have some support here just in case. I can raise that to take some of the slack and put a block underneath, but I'm going to go ahead and put that 19 millimeter bolt, or actually 22, the one is closest to the back of the truck. I'm gonna put some anti-seize on there and snug it in, so at least that one is secure. So this stays like this. I'm gonna grab this. So these are the 3 bolts that are going to go on there. I'm using anti-seize. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a little bit of that on the thread. Put some on the thread here. This anti-seize is nasty, it just gets everywhere in a hurry, but you need to put that in. So, all right, there you go. The truck, this bolt will sit right here. So we can go ahead and bring this one finger tight. Of course, I can't get it done. Let's do it like this. I hope you guys can see me. All right, there you go. There you go. So we're just putting this one finger tight, nothing, so we can then move on and grab the other 2 right here. One goes right here. If your truck has a little bit of mud or dirt or whatever in those threads, it's a good idea to chase the thread with a tap. Mine are pretty clean. There's no rust on it, so I don't need to do any of that. You want to be careful, obviously, you don't cross thread. I'm not liking the feel on it, so I'm just going to go ahead and inspect. I like to start the thread backward and hear that click that tells me that it's engaged. And then I sort of wiggle it a little bit. And when it starts to go, I know that it's good. Obviously you have a lot of weight on that. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my ratchet and bring those 3 bolts together. And we're gonna grab a bigger washer. Let's just grab a bigger washer. Nice wide, those nice wide washers. We'll do a much better job under this. Okay. Don't forget the anti-seize once again. All right. All right. So the bump, that wing is on. It is just finger tight. We want everything to move so we can adjust on the side as we need to put together. But so for the left wing, that's it. Now we're gonna move on to the other one. All right, guys, so we're doing the second, the other side, the right side of the wing. As you can see, I went and put a little jack stand underneath as a, just as a little insurance policy. I like my face enough not to get it crushed by this wing as it comes down. And what I'm gonna do is put that little contraption that I made. I'm gonna position it right here, just in case that bumper comes down. It will prevent it. It will prevent a catastrophic accident or my face getting crushed by a Dissent Off-Road bumper. So again, NTCs. Yep. Washer. Let's go ahead and put that first. First bolt right here. I need to move the bumper a little bit. Just like this. Yeah, I can already see that my my resonator is gonna rub against the side of the side of that bumper. So guess what, guys? Looks like a resonator delete is in my future, because that bumper is going to rub on the side, and I'll show you in a minute. All right, so let's secure that bolt right there. And then we have the two 19s that will go after that. I hope the sound is okay for you guys. Again, I'm doing this all by myself. I have told my wife what I'm doing, so in case something happens. So for this section, I'm going to record over because I realized later that I made a mistake, and I routinely refer to these three bolts as 22 and 19, but it is in fact incorrect. Those bolts are M14. They are the biggest bolts that are included in the hardware kit for the base bumper, and they go into the captured nuts that are in the subframe. These captured nuts are regularly used to hold the trailer hitch. Now, on my particular car, those nuts were not exactly aligned with the frame, and it caused the bolt to not align properly with the thread, and it wasn't going in. So I'm gonna have to show you later on in this video what I had to do to make it work. But the bottom line is you want to make absolutely certain to not cross thread these bolts, because since they are captured nuts inside the subframe, if you start to cross thread them, then you run the risk of dislodging the welds on these nuts, and then you end up with loose nuts inside your subframe, which is not only annoying because it will rattle, but most importantly, you are then completely unable to put these bolts that the bumper requires in order to be secure. So again, take your time. These bolts are captured, and you want to make sure that one, you put anti-seize on them, and then B, that you do not cross thread them. And finally, again, these are M14 nuts. Sorry, not nuts, but bolts. So you see me struggling here because I'm realizing that I'm using the wrong size bolt, and then when I try to use the correct M14, they are not going in. So I'm going to stop the video soon at this point and pick it back up later after I have talked to Ben Calhoun and discussed what my issue is. He will tell me again to be extremely careful, but will tell me that these bolts are indeed M14, all three of them. I thought that one of them was M14 and two were M12, which is not correct. They're all M14. So after I talked to Ben, he advised me that I needed to clean the thread, or perhaps make sure that those bolts, those nuts, those captured nuts were aligned. And I had to do a little Dremel in the frame because my frame and those captured nuts were not perfectly aligned. I wanted to make sure that the bolt entered the frame perfectly perpendicular to the nut in order to start the thread properly. Here, what I'm about to show you is that the rear wing sits extremely close to the resonator. And what I'm trying to explain here, I've deleted that soundtrack, but I'm trying to explain that if your resonator is loose, it may bang against that wing. Many people have just deleted their resonator. I'm contemplating doing that or not. As it turns out, when I have the whole bumper secure, my resonator is sufficiently away from it to where I'm not going to delete it or touch it or do anything. But your case may be different. So that's what I'm trying to show you in that particular sequence. So we're under the truck, and I wanted to show you guys a couple of things. These are M14 bolts that go into captured nuts under the under your frame. I believe some of these anchor points are used for trailer hitches. In some of your cars that perhaps didn't have a trailer hitch, the problem that you may have is that these threads get really dirty and probably a little rusty if they haven't had anything inside the thread. So you want to be very careful when you start threading those big M14 bolts to not cross thread them, because if you do, one thing that could happen is there is a plate that holds onto which is welded those two captured nuts inside the frame, and if that plate would be to come loose, then both of these nuts are now rattling inside the frame, and it may be very hard to be able to catch them in order to put the bolts in. So that's one of the issues that you may have, but I can concur that these are M14 bolts, and there's 3 of them that go run right here, and right here. This is where your original recovery points go. There are 2 holes here, but you're going to use only 1. So again, be extremely careful and see if those holes actually align. I will show you on the other side of my car, those holes actually do not align with the frame, meaning that plate that holds those 2 captured nuts has shifted inside, and right now I'm having a tough time putting those bolts in. So I'm going to give it another shot in a minute, but it's very hard, and I don't want to cross thread them because I don't want to break that plate or cause that plate to twist inside the frame. Okay, so I'm underneath the truck on the other side, and I'm showing you that where these are supposed to receive M14 bolts, and this is what I was talking to you about, where the plate that is welded inside the frame and has those 2 captured nuts has shifted slightly, and so I'm having a tough time starting the bolt there. And as you can see, there's a slight offset between the frame and the plate inside and the nut itself, so it's making it very hard for me to put that bolt the proper way to start it. Actually, I'm going to give it another shot. My threads are not dirty. I've looked at them. I don't have to chase the threads with a tap, but it's just the fact that these the captured nut and the bottom of the frame is not perfectly aligned. That's causing me some issues. So I don't want to force that cross-threaded and end up with a captured nut inside that's loose in the frame. That would be a little bit of an issue to fix that. So again, guys, when you go ahead and put these 3 M14 bolts, be very careful. I've been told also by Ben that
on some earlier model, like 98, which is the first year of the run of the 100 series. These are not M14, but M12. My truck is a 2000, so I can definitely tell you that those are M14. I had my doubt at first because they're so hard to put in. I thought they were 12, but I put an M12 and it skipped. So on the other side, I was able to force an M14 in to start, and it threaded perfectly after that, and I was able to torque it to spec. These three M14 are torqued at 95 foot-pound of torque when you're done. Okay, so what I'm doing, I've got one done here. What I'm doing here is getting a little Dremel and hitting right here, which is the edge of the frame, and I'm grinding that part so the bolt lines up better once it's inserted. So again, I'm being very careful not to touch any of the thread, but I am slowly taking a little Dremel with the grinding stone on it, and I'm enlarging that bottom lip of the frame. So again, my bolt ends up going straight into the thread. And I'm going to show you the tool that I'm using. So I'm using this little Dremel with the grinding tool, and basically I'm hitting right here at the edge, right here. And it's working. It's a little tedious, but it's definitely working. I was able to start that one right here. So I'm going to move on to this one. It should be good to go.
A quick little note, guys. So if you have the swing outs that go with this bumper, right here will be a little ball joint that is used to attach one of the shocks, one of those little gas struts that help you swing the swing out back and forth. Because it's fairly inaccessible, it's probably a good idea to put it before you slide this bumper on. It is inside your your swing out hardware kit. I'm gonna go ahead and grab them, and then I'm gonna install them right now because that bumper is not completely secure. 13 millimeter top and bottom. Come on. All right, make sure that this guy is nice and tight. You do not want this thing to come apart. If it comes apart, you're gonna have to completely remove the entire bumper in order to go fetch that bolt from underneath. All right, one is done. Now we can put that wing back on the truck. All right, guys, so at this point we have the two wings that are on the two base bumper wings that are on the truck. It's fairly loose because now what we're going to do is sort of adjust everything for proper alignment. So we're going to measure the gap right here. We're going to measure the gap right here, make sure that everything is even. And then
Hey guys, so now we are going to install the trailer hitch plate, and there's three parts to that trailer hitch plate. There is the outside part right here, which slips right over the bumper like this, and then there is the back part of it with an additional spacer that will go against the frame, and all the bolts will go through these. So essentially what that looks like is this plate goes right here on the back of your cross member here for your bumper, and then it slides right here, and then those bolts will come through the various holes right here. So we have two big M12 bolts that will go through the bottom, and they will sandwich that extra spacer. Remember, we put a spacer like this on the top. This duct tape just holds the spacer. It's probably going to stay under. And then we'll have a second spacer that goes right against that on the other. I will show you underneath the truck when I go and install it. So those big M12 bolts will go through. We also have M12 bolts that will go into the top where there are two captured nuts inside the top of the cross member. So those bolts will go right here. And then everything else will receive 1/4 inch bolts. These bolts will go right here. They will go right here. And then they will go right here at the top. Okay? So again, in these M12 that you're going to put into the captured nuts, go ahead and put some anti-seize on there, because you definitely need that. Okay? So we're gonna go ahead and install that, and now I'll show you from the back side what it looks like. So take this plate, I'm gonna present it like this. We're gonna go ahead and install those two M12 bolts. So as I said, go ahead and put some anti-seize on those because they go into captured nuts. Putting a little anti-seize, grabbing a washer and putting them on. So we're going to be careful, obviously, not to cross thread them. If there is any resistance at all when these go in, back at, make sure that you're straight. And if your thread is dirty, I suggest that you chase the thread with a little tap on your paperwork that comes along the hardware, where each piece of bumper assembly is actually packaged with its own hardware kit. It tells you the exact size of the bolt as well as the thread pitch. So if you need to grab a tap, you can do that. So I'm just bringing them just very, very close without tightening anything, because there's a bunch of other bolts that need to go in, and since you want to make sure you adjust and have wiggle room to put these bolts through the various holes, you want to make sure that it's kind of loose. So ready to go. Now I'm going to go ahead and insert the two bolts that will go through the entire frame. So again, those are the two very long M12 lag bolts. All right, now we got two on the top, and those are just 1/4 inch button. They get a washer. They go on top like this. They get a washer. It goes on top like this, and then on the back side we will catch them. So now I'm going to crawl under the car, and then I'll restart the video to show you from underneath what it looks like. All right, so we are under the car, and as you can see from the back, so this is where we're gonna put the spacer right here. Okay, I'm gonna hold these nuts temporarily. So the spacer will come right here, and then we will take the back plate, and the back plate will come right here. Nice little touch. Nobody will see that, but the Dissent logo is cut out of that back plate. And so we'll have bolts here, and then from under there is two tricky little bolts that are right here, okay, at the edge of each of the wings. They'll go through the bottom right here. So these you want to put them. I just noticed that my frame has a little bit of rust right here, which I didn't catch on the way when I did the remediation on the other side. I'm very lucky. This car is a Southern car and has very, very little rust. I mean, that's the extent of the rust, really. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my rust remediation product, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm gonna paint this real quick before I finish the installation. It's silly not to do it because I have full access. I removed the cross member that supported the spare tire, and there is literally a cavernous room underneath the truck now. I mean, I have the tripod, the camera, everything is installed. I'm on the I'm on a creeper here, and I have plenty of space. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to remediate this real quick. All right, we're gonna remediate that rust real quickly. I'm using Rust-Oleum Rust Performer. It applies really easily and then turns all the rust into a black protective coating. So I'm using a little paintbrush here, a little foam paintbrush, and I'm just gonna go ahead and apply that liberally on all the areas. In case you wonder, this is a really good workout for your abs when you try to hold your head upright and you're sitting under and you're laying under the car. It's fantastic for the abs. I need to take a rest once in a while. But this is really the extent of the rust on the truck, so I'm very lucky. Very, very lucky. So it takes a few hours to work, but I can continue and install the rest of the hardware before it dries out. It will do its job under the car. It will do its job just fine. So I'm sort of visually inspecting the rest of the car, and I mean, I really don't have any rust other than those few places. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply a little bit more. And this will just stop the rust from progressing. Alright, so now we're done with that. Alright, so we're going to finish the installation of that bracket now that the rust remediation has been applied. We just, I hope you can see that because I can't see. Alright, so one of these long 12 bolts will go like this through that bracket. The other one on the other side. Right there, and then the bracket will go. The bracket is going to go just like this. Right there. So that spacer makes sure that the little gap between the cross member and the plate is filled. It's my understanding that on some of the model, you don't need this because there is some sort of like integrated hitch into the cross member that takes the gap out of needing the spacer. So once you have that, let's see if I can find. Nope, I have to crawl and get my bolts out. Oh yeah, right here. So we're gonna grab. These are not captured, so you don't need anti-seize on those. You may want to put some if you want to, but I'm gonna not put any right now. All right. Again, install everything loosely because you have some other bolts that go everywhere, and you want to make sure that you're able to position everything perfectly before you do the final tightening. So again, bolt here, all the bolts will go here and in various places. We're going to adjust everything, and then when everything is adjusted and centered and we are happy with the result, we're going to torque all of these. Wrong washer. Whoops. I am wearing glasses, so I'm protected, but I almost ate a 3/4 inch nut. Doesn't feel particularly good. I don't think so. All right. What else? I got these here. These go backwards. So you see how these nuts go from, those bolts go from the outside toward the inside. These go from the inside toward the outside. I'm not sure why. This is how Ben has them, shows them needing to be installed, so I'm just following the instruction. I'm not quite sure why that is. It would look better the other way around. You know what, actually, I'm just going to install it the other way around. I think it will look better. That is not the right bolt. This is not the right nut. Nope. There you go. Yep. Yeah.
His test is positive, and I talked to him
Really?
a little while ago. His fever's out of control. He sounds like utter hell. He can barely speak. Coughing.
Shit, that's bad. Oh, this COVID thing is awful, man.
I'm getting my second vaccine on Friday,
Yeah.
so it'll make me feel better.
Good luck, dude.
I know a lot of people don't want it.
Well, that's just stupid if you don't want the vaccine, in my opinion. Alright, so I just realized I made a mistake here, guys. You remember I told you there are 2 bolts that are outside in these wings? Well, I didn't put them, and now it's really hard to go put them. So I need to remove these. So the reason why you want to do that is because I will show you in a minute.
that you want to put right there first. These, I'm not sure actually. How you gonna, oh yeah, these, I guess. Okay. So these will slide. I suppose we can slide them in. Let me see. I don't want to go through them like this, do I? Yeah, I guess we do. All right, we can do that. Like this. It'll be a little tight, but I think we can do it. So when we have these on, I think that even after, yeah, it's gonna be very tight to go slip a wrench here, but I think we can do it. Well, we kind of have to try anyway, so let's try. All right. Let's just put this one here. That's a little tight too. Not all comfortable to put these, to put this one here. Alright, so we're not going to tighten anything very securely. We're going to still keep all of this pretty loose. Alright, let's go ahead and do that again. Push this spacer through. Alright, I'm going to clean all of this, guys. Don't freak out. I know some of you are probably saying, oh my God, he's gonna leave the back of his truck so dirty like this, the brand new bumper. Well, it is an off-road bumper, guys, and it's going to get dirty, so I don't think you should worry too much about that. All right, look at that. This is super, super sturdy. Wait, I put these other bolts on top, right here. Washer nut. This is gonna be some sturdy bumper, I can tell you that. I mean, good God, this is awesome. All right, let's pull right here. Yep. And the washer. I can probably use smaller washers from the inside. That's not the right one. Alright. Alright, so, and then we have two more bolts right here. So, I'm gonna go with these. Alright, and these are the ones that I told you I'm actually going to put. Ben shows them going this way, but
for the sake of the way that looks with all the bolts. I don't think there is any reason to put him the other way, but I will ask him, and if he says there is a reason for that, then I will go ahead and take these 2 bolts out and flip them over. But for now, they're going to be installed just like this. All right, one more. I may have left it on the table over there. I don't have it. All right. Okay. It's probably over there. I'm gonna go get it. So I'm gonna stop the video. You get the idea, and then we will torque these, and then we will be done with that part. Okay, so now that we have all the bolts in place, we're gonna start tightening them, and there is an order. You're going to start with these 2 lower bolts right here, then you're gonna do these 2 upper bolts, then you're gonna do the through bolts, and you're gonna finish with the captured nuts. All of these M12s and M14 take 95 foot-pound of torque. And the reason why these can be installed backward is to save a little bit of room if you are still using if you still have your spare tire underneath. That bolt protrudes a little bit on the inside, so by flipping it over you gain a little bit. So for bigger tires, that's just a little clearance gain, but otherwise I think that since I'm having the tire carrier, I'm installing all the bolts facing inward for the sake of looking better. So we're gonna go ahead and start tightening these. So we're gonna tighten, let me bring you a little closer. So these go first. I'm gonna go grab a quick 19mm wrench, and then I'll get under and I will bring all of these. So again, these first, then these 2, then these 2, and then these and these. 95 foot-pound of torque. So I will go ahead and do that off camera. All right, so we're torquing these to 95 foot-pound. There you go. 95 foot-pound of torque on all these M12 and M14 bolts. They're 10.9 grade, so you can torque the hell out of them. Everything is torqued. This thing is absolutely rock solid. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. So now that we have this done, I'm going to go ahead and clean up a little bit underneath, and then I'm going to probably think about what's the next logical step, which is assembling the 2 swing outs and probably mount them onto the bumper. So that will be part of the next video. Again, this is Sam from Deep South Overlander. Give me a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos, and I will catch you on the next one. Take care.